All right. Rams and Browns. Cleveland wins this game 19-17. Take a look at the top 5 graded players that we have for the Cleveland Browns. Linebacker Devin Bush at the top of the list with a 90.3. Linebacker Easton Mascarenas-Arnold with an 86.0. Offensive guard Tevin Jenkins an 84.9. Edge rusher KJ Henry an 83.8. And then quarterback Dillon Gabriel. Wonder if we're going to talk about the quarterback situation in Cleveland here on the show. Guess we'll find out in a second. 82.7. On the other side of things, the Rams, wide receiver True Edwards, top of the list with an 87.6. Tight end Terrence Ferguson, love to see this, an 81.1, the rookie getting in there in the top 3. Running back Jordan Waters with a 79.2. Wide receiver Drake Stoops with a 79.2. And then defensive tackle Jack Helflin with a 76.4. Thoughts overall, Dalton? I'm sure you're not going to talk about the quarterback position. There's nothing to talk about, right?
No, there never is. In Cleveland, come on now. Look, they've cut Tyler Huntley. They're keeping the 4 guys that we've been talking about all preseason. And I actually think this game between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, and Gabriel obviously a whole lot better in this game. Shedeur taking, 5 sacks and 11 dropbacks, right? What you get, and something we pointed out through the first 2 weeks, with Gabriel taking snaps last week, Shedeur the week before, is kind of the analytics lesson of quarterback play under 2.5 seconds into the play is the more stable measure of predicting performance, right? And through their first games, I showed the grade split last week that it was Dillon Gabriel was way better under 2.5 seconds in rhythm getting the football out, and Shedeur was better after that. What you saw in this game was the instability of everything being so late in the play, and Shedeur obviously with the pocket presence and moving backwards with the sacks and all of that. That's what can happen if you're constantly relying on that level of improvisation, right, and making things happen with playground football late in the play. So I think it's just a lesson in that. I think people expecting that they were going to cut Shedeur, well, they really have no reason to, so you might as well keep all 4 guys, and maybe we'll see what happens with Kenny Pickett and the backup situation. But I think, look, Gabriel won this round. He's on time more often. He showed that last week that he's on time more often. Shedeur needs to speed it up a little bit, needs to step up in the pocket some, but it's a preseason game. It is what it is. Gabriel won this round, and now maybe we get into the regular season, and we're not talking so much about 3rd and 4th string quarterbacks, but this is what everybody wants to talk about. So it is what it is. Shedeur did not look good. It was the flaws that, yes, were pointed out by everybody when it came to scouting him in the draft was, there's times back there he tries to do too much. And he's not the level of athlete that he can go out there. Like Josh Allen can do these things late in the play, and I trust him because he's a freak of nature. Shedeur is not that. He's going to have to win throwing the ball on time. Right now, Dillon Gabriel's doing that better.
I think that people are just freaking out just to freak out, right? And just it's the fact that it's Shedeur Sanders, and that's really the only reason people are freaking out. Because to be honest with you, all of this incredibly expected, and also totally fine. Dillon Gabriel was always going to look better, in my opinion, right out of the gate than Shedeur Sanders, because Gabriel is so much more used to getting the ball out very quickly. He was better, I think, when it came to those pre-snaps reads and the quick reads when he was at Oregon. And Shedeur was a better playmaker down the field, somebody who I thought could play under a lot of really great pressure, but he was always going to struggle with a muddy pocket because he struggled with that at Colorado. And when we talked about his scouting report, it was, hey, you can kind of get away from some of this pressure at the college level, but these defensive linemen in the NFL, they're faster. So there were 2 specific plays in this very game that were learning moments from Shedeur, where you saw him sort of escape pressure right off the bat. He got outside of the tackle box, and you could see him looking down the field thinking that he had more time to continue to analyze where the defense was, where his receivers are going, and then all of a sudden, boom, his feet get tripped up by the defender, and he's down for a sack, or he's got to throw the ball away while he's falling down, or whatever it was. And so I just think that a lot of people are freaking out for no reason other than they just want to yell about something. How these guys played in the preseason very much was how their scouting reports read. And if you want to talk about certain opportunities, I think that I wish that Shedeur would have got a little bit more opportunity in this game. I wish they would have given him a little bit more opportunity there, sure. But all of this, I think, is just very par for the course in what we were going to see from these guys early on. And so to me, it doesn't change the overall outlook of these players. And it just sort of, again, shines the light of like, hey, this is where these guys need to get better. This is maybe where their starting point is. Now it's time to see, can they take those next steps in the NFL to continue to develop? So them keeping 4 quarterbacks, I completely agree with you. Why would you not? There's no reason for you to cut any of these guys, really. In fact, if somebody was going to get cut, I felt like it was Pickett, but they traded for Pickett, so they probably weren't going to do that anyway. So Flacco was always going to be the starter. Gabriel and Shedeur were always going to look a little different. And Kenny Pickett being on the roster or not was really the only big question mark that I had going into this preseason. And they're keeping all 4 of them. So I think that this is a much ado about nothing, in my opinion, for what we saw with these quarterbacks. And we'll see what happens with them moving forward, because I do think that one, if not both of them, are going to get the opportunity to start this upcoming season at some point.